Okay, so Outpost Rush is finally live. It is the 29th of October, 2021 after release. And you can finally go to your faction representative, join Outpost Rush, and join as a solo player or as a group. Now, this is something that you need to be doing pretty much every day because the rewards for this are insane. Now, gold is okay. It gives like 350 gold whether you win or lose, roughly. But the huge thing is the amount of Azoth that you get is absolutely busted for the amount of time you spend. So on average, these things last like 30 minutes, maybe 45 max, and they give 200 Azoth each, which means that if you're like me and you are holding on to a ton of vials of suspended Azoth, you need to dump these things right freaking now, because the price is only going, actually have 100 of them. The price is only going to go down on your server now, because before people needed Azoth, they did not want to go get it. Whereas now, if I need Azoth, I can just go run some Outpost Rush, and that's a fun way to get Azoth too. So I would highly recommend going and selling your Azoth for what you can now. If you need it, you can buy it back later, but I have no reason to believe that it's not going to just go down. It's just it's already trending down on my server. Since Outpost Rush released, it's gone from being like 180, 190 all the way down to like 140-ish sometimes. And I have a feeling in the coming days it's going to drop on my server to like 100. So if you're on a server that's already at 100, it's probably going to drop to like 50 or something. If you're on a server that's 50, it's probably going to drop to like 30. So if you're holding on to a bunch of that stuff, you need to just get rid of it. As soon as you find it today, just sell it, because it's probably going to go down in the next few days. You can just buy it back later. But Outpost Rush is something that you should be doing every day if you like PvP. It is a great thing to do because on top of all that I just mentioned, it also will give you, I already opened it, but it'll give you a reward cash type of thing that gives you level 60 gear that can increase your max gear score. So, like, if you're one of those people who really like PvP, like me when I was younger, I would sit here and I would just play Outpost Rush 14 hours a day. That was the type of player I was. And if you are even slightly like that at all, you need to just be like play Outpost Rush all the time. And even if you are not like that and you don't like PvP, if you are ever low on Azoth, you need to go run over to your faction representative and play a couple games of Outpost Rush. It is not necessarily the absolute fastest way to get Azoth, but it is right there with the fastest ways. I think the fastest way probably would be like one of those boar spawns and just killing them as fast as you can and skinning them. And even that is going to be maybe even slower than Outpost Rush. I mean, it's literally like the way to get Azoth now. It's absolutely crazy the amount of Azoth that you get. Also, there's an exploit with this that I haven't tested, but I don't see any reason it wouldn't work, that you could try if you wanted to. I wouldn't think you'd get banned for it. So if you have a company and you have a lot of people in your company, then what you can do is you can all group up in groups of 5 until there's enough of you to fill the entire Outpost Rush, which is 40 people. So if you actually have 40 people that are all in your company, that are online, ready to go, you can all queue up for Outpost Rush at the exact same time. And chances are you will end up getting almost the entire lobby filled with your company members. Then what you can do is you can have one side just throw the game. They just sit in their base and wait. And the other side go cap all the points. And then you guys just wait for your Azoth. Now that sounds really boring and it's not really practical as far as an entertainment standpoint. But it would guarantee that you get the maximum amount of rewards per hour. And yeah, your Azoth then would probably be insane. Because I don't know how fast the game would end. Probably like 15 minutes or something like that. Maybe 20. Because it still would take time for the points to tick up or down or whatever. But you'd be able to get some crazy Azoth per hour that way. Another thing you may want to consider. Now, I'm not going to advise you on what to do with your in-game finances per se. But something to think about is the price of infused health potions. Infused regeneration potions. Maybe even infused mana potions, but nobody even really uses them. But the main thing is those, and then Azoth water. And maybe Life Moth Eyes, but they're so hard to collect, nobody even really sells them, although there's some I could buy. Because you can use Azoth water to make the infused health potions, and people are going to be using infused health potions much more frequently now that there's Outpost Rush. Even since Outpost Rush launched on my server, the price of these potions has gone from 3 all the way to 5 in, what, like 12 hours or something. That's overnight. So I don't know where they're going to stabilize at now, but now there's an outlet to actually burn these throughout the day instead of just when wars happen. You might expect the price of these to go way up. So, you know, you do your own investments. Think about what makes sense for your server if you even want to touch this. But this is another thing that is probably going to change in price because of Outpost Rush. Which also brings about some thoughts of making money routes with Azoth water, which I'm going to look into. So make sure you subscribe for that, because this channel has a lot of money routes and ways to make money and stuff. So I'm gonna take a look at Azoth water money routes and see if I can see if anything's worth our time to go do out in the world. I'll look into that. Another thing you keep an eye on now that Outpost Rush has come out would be hearty meals, because now there's also a way to just burn these all the time. And another thing that you're gonna look at potentially would be attribute bonus foods, any of like the really good ones, so like the super con one. Now someone would be kind of crazy to pop the real super con ones in these, but maybe they would. So any kind of PvP items like that people were like using at a steady rate before, that rate of use is going to increase, so the price is going to increase. So if you're working in any of those markets or you want to get into any of those markets, now would be as good a time as any, because the price is probably going to be at the maximum it's going to be for a while. Also, I didn't think about this one until actually looking through, but even the tier 4 health potions are going to go up in price probably, because people go, oh, if I can't get the infused, I'll end up just buying some of the lower ones. So if you are an arcanist and you want to use ingredients to make these potions and try to sell them, now might be the time to do something like that. Okay, so when you get into an Outpost Rush, this is what it's going to look like. Just to start, there are 3 points that you fight over, so it's kind of hold the points. If you played other like FPS games, it's kind of familiar. And then, see it says right there, outposts earn 1 point every 3 seconds. Hell, kills are worth 2 points. So you do get points for kills as well. There are wolf dens, and there are these like portals and all these different things that you can use to change different things about the game. So, for example, the trees actually are one of the things that you can harvest. The trees, and then you can kill wolves and other animals for essence, and you can use those to upgrade the bases, and you can use them to summon things like bears. Now there are 2 things here. There's the Baroness Hane, and if you kill her, it gets a buff for your team and freezes the enemy team's score for a little bit, and it spawns after 10 minutes and respawns after 10 minutes of being killed, so you gotta wait 10 minutes for the first spawn. Then there's the Corrupted Portal, which if you donate your Azoth to it, you can summon a Corrupted Brute. And then in each of the bases, you can summon a bear. There's like a spot to summon a bear, like right here. You can buy the thing to summon the bear by going into one of the forts. And just like when you are in a war or an invasion, there will be like an armory somewhere. There it is. And you go over to this, and you can spend the Azoth that you get from killing animals to buy the Ursine Summoning Stone, and use it to summon a bear, which will run around and fight enemies that are near the fort. You can also buy powder kegs to blow up the gates, and then you can buy all these different potions and stuff. Now over here, I am at the wolf den, and there are some wolves, and I'm going to show you can kill these to get the Azoth from them to use for those rewards. Also, at the top right, you can keep track of what resources you already have. There is leather, there is what looks like star metal and ironwood, although they're called something different in this. But there you go, he dropped 25 Azoth essence, and then you skin him to get some of the hide, which you can use to upgrade the fort. And then same thing for this guy, it's going to be the same deal. But what's interesting about this is, even if you don't like PvP, you can still have fun in these wars, because if you don't want to PvP, you can actually PvE and help your team by doing PvE, which is really, really fun. Makes me think of a game I used to play called Fantasy Zero. Had a similar kind of concept, but not as intense. So if you want to help and you don't want to PvP, just run around killing the wolves and gathering the trees and upgrading the forts and spawning cannons and things, and let your team do the rest of the heavy lifting. It's actually pretty fun. So the wolf den's nice and all, but realistically, the best way to get the Azoth essence is from these Dryad soldiers at the Dryad Grove. Just because there's so many of them, they're only level 55. It's really the fastest way to get the essence. But if you want to get the skins, the infused leather, you can only get that from the wolves. Okay, and when you get 1,000 points, then you win and you get your reward, which is, in this case, it was 200 Azoth, 315 coins. I don't know if that's because it went so fast or because I ran around gathering things instead of fighting people. But it is a pretty great way to get Azoth. This one actually only lasted about 8 minutes, which is insane. So if you had your faction throwing the game, you would probably get like 1,000 Azoth an hour, actually, which would be completely busted. And then there's a scoreboard afterwards, just like an invasion or a war. The last thing you're going to need to know about, well, other than the Corrupted Portal, which I might get to in a second, is the mines. Now, this is a great place to get the star metal looking things. It's not called star metal, I actually forget the name of it. This is going to be the best place to grab this stuff. Infused ore veins. So if you want to collect that for your team, then you can go to these in order to get them. It's also another place to get essence, because the enemies drop essence. And wow, that guy hits hard. I'm dead. Oh my goodness, that guy hits hard. Okay, so killing that big guy gives a Wraith Summoning Stone, by the way. Also, the best part about the mines is that you can grab all the melee grunts and group them up and then slay out on them and just kill them all at once. And it's super nice for getting that essence fast. So fast. If you have the right build for it, obviously. Which I do. So it is super fun. And just like that, there's another 100 essence in like 2 seconds. Over here at the Corruption Portal, you can find these corrupted priests who summon a bunch of hounds, which are really obnoxiously annoying to kill if you don't have the right build for it. And you have to, after the priest dies, all the hounds just go away though. So if you head over to the Nathnos Corrupted Portal with 500 Azoth, you can go up to it. Up to this, I mean. And apply all resources, which is going to require you to probably kill the enemies, because they're going to try to sit there and beat on you as you do. Or you can just try to ignore them and just keep doing it, so whichever way you want to approach it. I personally am just going to ignore this guy until I've applied 500, and hope that some guy doesn't come by and steal the last tick. And doing this will give me a Brute Summoning Stone. So now I'm going to head back, and I'm going to get the Ursine Summoning Stone. We're going to summon all three and look at them. Okay, so I'm sneaking up behind the enemy base to summon these things. I don't know if they actually leash away from forts, so I'm going to summon at their fort and see what happens. I don't think anyone sees me. So we're going to go over here and we're going to do it. Add a summoning stone. We're going to add the... Start with the Wraith. Okay, so that's the Wraith. And apparently you can only have one summoning stone at each circle. But the Wraith is going to go and beat on their gate, and holy heck, it's going to do some damage to that gate. Oh my goodness, that Wraith does some damage to that gate. Can I heal the Wraith? Okay, so you can't heal the Wraith. Alright, so that's the Wraith. There you go. So I'm in one of our forts right now. I'm going to go ahead and pick up that Ursine Summoning Stone. And so now we're going to look at that one, and we're going to look at the Brute. Also, when you go over to a gate, you can apply resources to repair it if you have them, or to place it if it's not already there. The first thing I'm going to do with the cheap one is go to the one where it's right here at our base and see if it just stands here or what it does. So it looks like the bear just hangs out and protects that particular base. So for the expensive stone that I bought, we are going to want to go over to that middle fort that everyone's fighting over. And right now, my team just took it. So now I can actually summon it, and there will be a fight for it. So let's see if I can get that thing placed. Okay, so nobody's even here fighting. So I'm going to add the summoning stone for the Brute. So this is the Brute. I'm assuming he's just going to protect the fort. So summoning him early might be a bad idea because ranged people can just pick him off. But I'm just going to stand around and watch and wait for some people to show up and see what he does. Actually, no, wait. I thought he was going to another base. Nope, they just hang out. They just hang out like this. So you can see the Brute out there. He is fighting them all. He is, oh my god, he is tanky. Look at him go. Oh my god. Jake OFST Farm almost died to the Brute. I don't think I can heal the Brute, though. Yeah, the Brute can't be healed, just like the other summons. But, pretty darn cool. I know my team's losing the fort, but I just want to watch the Brute go. Like, wow. That is a fun summon. Look how many people. He's distracting 3 people all by himself. So, as a PvE player, you can actually have a huge impact by going and summoning something like the Brute. Because look at that, 3 people out of the fight. I effectively have killed 3 people by summoning that Brute, and that is really awesome. Really, really awesome. So even if you're not into the actual PvP like this, you can still have fun in these by doing things like this, setting up the turrets like that. Oh, he wants to give it to me. and shooting people with turrets instead. Although this guy has void bent armor, so I don't think I'm going to do any damage to him. And so you can do a lot of fun stuff. Or if you like PvP, you can get in there and get your hands dirty, and you can PvP. So it's a pretty fun thing. You can get a lot of Azoth per hour, and you have a lot of fun in here if you really enjoy this kind of thing. And again, just a great way to get Azoth. And if you do it with a faction and you just throw, you can abuse it in order to get absolutely insane Azoth per hour. And one last thing I want to add at the end that's really funny, actually, is you get score for all that PvE stuff. So if you do nothing but PvE, you can actually be like rank 1 or rank 2 for basically doing nothing. I mean, it does help, but like in PvP, it feels like doing nothing.